for everyone here in the Zoom session with us and also online and for posterity, welcome to the online Meet the Artist section of our ImpactNFT Exhibition. Today joining us, we have an amazing cast of artists. We have Nahid, Kevin, Arturo, and also we have Chris, who will be joining us shortly. And the sort of overall context of this really is to kind of give a space for each of you guys to share a little bit about the personal journey that took you, from the traditional world or other industries into becoming a digital artist, as well as the ways that you're trying to use the medium of digital art, specifically the NFT medium, to communicate impact. And I'll just kind of say a few words about kind of the general concept of Impact NFT, which we're trying to really build and expand on during this exhibition. NFTs has been one of the most viral ideas, I would say, in recent human history. Everyone from individuals to companies to even NGOs and governments have really started thinking about the ability to use NFTs to represent intangible assets, things that would have value but do not concretely or easily fit into traditional ways of accounting. On the other side, one of the key things we really like about the idea of NFTs is it makes for the ability for us to quantize and then transmit units of culture. Culture here in means of history, culture here means of practice, culture means here is of humanity. And the reason we've chosen this sort of thematic purple throughout the whole event is that we're really trying to drive the idea of a purple economy, which was first originated in 2011 by UNESCO, talking about the cultural value and the cultural economy in addition to just a pure kind of resource-driven utilization economy. I think each one of you guys have amazing life experiences that sort of embody this idea in a very concrete way. So without further ado, I'm gonna invite Nahid first to maybe everyone, and we're just gonna run this as a general panelist session. Everyone can sort of make a 30-second to 1-minute remark about kind of who you are, your name. We'll get into the deeper, richer story in a second, but just want to give everyone watching a little taste of the wonderful people we have. So, would you like to go first?
Thank you, Max. It's good to see you again. To say that when I came to the NFT space, I have a 30+ year of experience from the fine arts. My first degree was in the fine arts department, rather. And I came to the NFT space early to 2020, April 2020. I had heard of the NFTs at the end of 2017. A dear friend of mine spoke to me about it and said, Nahid, go check it out. And when that friend tells you go check something out, you go check it out, which I didn't. But I did learn about it a little bit. And then COVID happened. COVID has this, how do you say it? Pre-COVID and post-COVID and during COVID has our 3 different lives that we have all lived. And thanks to COVID, I came to the NFT space. And now that I've come to the NFT space, although we lost approximately 90% of our projects during COVID time, because most of my projects are in the war zones, and assessing and building social impact businesses, and kind of giving helping people that want to do all of that, and the governments and NGOs, all that stuff. All of that's was put at halt for a full halt during COVID. But now with the NFTs and this social impact and humanity parts of it, which I see as an extended hand, I have revived every single one of them. Even the factory that was supposed to be open physically with 200 employees, that will even be opened in the next 2 years, including the NFTs as a form of fundraiser. So it is a fascinating space for me, and I cannot wait to speak about the campaigns and the people that we have gathered together to do good. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nahid, and you're eloquent as always. So it's such a big pleasure and excited to hear more about that. Kevin, would you like to go next?
Thanks, Max. Nice to meet you as well today. I've heard you, but I haven't actually seen your face before, so it's a pleasure to meet you in this environment. So myself, similar idea. I was hosting concerts, organizing events, music festivals, and naturally when COVID came, that came to a halt. We weren't able to host a concert with more than 5 people in a venue. So that idea switched to live stream events and finding other ways to still be in the entertainment industry and work with the arts. And then myself being a painter, I make canvas art. So The canvases that I paint, they're usually about like 5 foot in size, and to sell them to people outside of my house was very difficult. Again, with COVID, I couldn't really have people come over and check out the piece and see if they liked it. I could show them online, but quite often it's through my personal network that I was selling my artwork. So it made it very difficult to sell my artwork, to host concerts, to really do anything that I wanted to do in the art space. And naturally, when I found NFTs, I was able to take my canvases, digitize them, and put them out to the world, whether for free as a gift to people and just to get my name out there and share my work, or to actually sell the artwork in a new way and find a new medium and a new outlet. So once I started exploring that and becoming a collector, I found that there's opportunity to give back. I've always wanted to give back, and my dad used to run a charity toy drive with his friends. So my girlfriend and I, Chantal, found this as an opportunity to continue a family tradition and create an opportunity to give back and support the arts. So we have a metaverse that's designed for gaming. We have an art gallery in there to support artists that are up and coming, and put them alongside some established artists, and really take that entertainment experience of live stream concerts and stuff and turn it into an opportunity to make fundraising fun.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And last but not least, Arturo.
Hey, it's very interesting to see how COVID changed everything for almost all of us, because I was doing theater since 2014, no, 15, I think. And with COVID, everything changed. So I was doing shows and traveling around the world and doing art, physical art. And when COVID started in 2020, I started to look more in cryptocurrencies, and in the mid of the, I think it was in May, in May, I found the NFTs, and exploded my mind, and I started to investigate more about the concept, and I found a lot of solutions and collaborations, and I meet a lot of artists. So it's an incredible space, giving a lot of opportunities. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, Kevin and Arturo, it's a huge pleasure to have you guys, and you guys are very, amazing creative individuals. So I sort of, we'll have more chances to dive into that a little bit more. And then last, and joining us here is Chris. Chris is the founder of, one of the co-founders of Mirror World, and also a very, someone with a lot of really interesting technology development actually behind kind of creative NFTs. So Chris, we're just kind of doing a brief personal intro of like 30 seconds each, and then we're going to dive into an interactive panel discussion. So do you want to just say a few words about yourself?
Yeah, pleasure to be here as well. Thanks, Max, for having me. My name is Chris. I'm from Mirror World, and we co-founded Mirror World with RCT AI about 2 months ago. So the project's relatively young, but we've been going full steam ahead with our Genesis collection already in progress of minting, and we sold out 7,000 units, just for the past week or so. RCT AI has historically been working on gaming AI to create a more open and intelligent gaming world by using core technologies such as NLP and deep reinforcement learning. And we have worked very closely with very large gaming companies in the past, and we're funded by YC, Makers Fund, and Galaxy Interactive, and the likes. We're actually close to announcing our A3 rounds very soon. And I think our NFT endeavor is the start of our, exploration in the decentralized world, and to offer a entrance pass to a lot of our users into both the community and also the technology aspects of the databases behind the entire UI. And we look at NFT just as a user interface, and also an user interaction for them to gain access to a lot of our services. And I think that's the way that we're going with the entire project, and I'm definitely happy to talk about it more later.
Thank you, Chris. And just for everyone else, the company that Chris is working with is super interesting, because they actually have a bunch of kind of machine learning that enables otherwise non-human characters that have personalities, right? Communication, dialogue, and kind of interactivity. And so in their words, they've sort of said, we're putting a soul into the characters that are then, being part of the NFT collection. So excited to dive into that a bit more and kind of, see how we surface these things. So coming back to the larger panel context, what we want to do is highlight, the incredible ways that technology is useful for actually enabling human society to move forward, right? And we're sort of living through, multiple crises at this point. We have a crisis of COVID, right? Very immediate on our doorstep, changing the entire way that we relate and socialize and also produce and also live. And then in the background of COVID is perhaps a larger tsunami of just climate disaster, right? Catastrophe. And we have COP26 coming up in just under a month, where the world's leaders will kind of get together to discuss, can anything be done effectively? Meanwhile, there's a lot of humanitarian issues around the world, sometimes driven by COVID, sometimes driven by human activity. And I know that he has been thinking a lot about that issue and sort of creating a very meaningful project around that as well. And then finally, there is the relationship of man to the environment, not only in terms of the carbon emission side, but also in terms of how we actually use the resources of the world, how we destroy habitats, how we replenish habitats, and whether or not that's going to enable us to continue living on the planet. So hopefully, through this conversation and through each of the projects that we want to give you guys time to share about, we can highlight the ways that you guys are using technology, in a very unique way to actually tie in the connection to the human part. And on top of that, I think create new opportunities to the NFT economy that maybe didn't represent or didn't exist before in the traditional economy. So Nahid, maybe you can go first and just kind of expand a little bit more on the incredible work you're doing and share with the audience, both physical and also online, what how you're thinking about this.
Thank you so much, Max. Great to meet you, Chris, as well. Welcome. The blockchain technology, for somebody who is not a very tech savvy, has not been a very tech savvy person in her life, was for me something that was very far-fetched. I'll be honest. I hired people that did my everything that had to do with my phone, to the computers, to everything, because most of the time I was on the ground, on the field, which I love and I have loved. And nevertheless, now with COVID, as I mentioned, this post-COVID, or rather COVID time, has allowed me to do so much more with the NFT space. Because when I came into the NFT space, I said, okay, for the first time in my life, I'm not going to have any kind of social impact into the art. I came as an artist. A couple of months later, I found myself creating the humanity projects of the NFT as tips and going into the social impact aspect. I guess you can't go far from what you are really, truly in reality. So I came back to that naturally. 15th of August turned my whole life around. I'm an Afghan, as most of you know, and most of my work is in Afghanistan on the field, even today. And 15th of August, after the takeover of the Taliban, the world kind of, I think it was a slap in the face of every single woman on this planet, especially for me as the founder and the CEO of We the Women. And we've been very active in the past 15 years, physically there as well, and in Iraq as well, and a few other places in the world. So to have that was a wake-up call, not only for me, but I think that because of the NFT space and the NFT community that I have, that I so hold dearly to me, and I'm very active during weekly, really on the grassroots level in the community building of the NFT and the social impact part. I called upon the community literally on the 16th, and I called and I asked for help. Within hours, we had a team. I had a team that built one of my already existing campaigns, the Stand Up for Unity campaign that we already have under the We the Women umbrella. We built the NFT section for that. Little did I know that over 100 artists came and literally either donated, and especially this one is very dear to me. It's the Hands Off Our Girls campaign, which is over 30 artists curated by a wonderful artist herself and a genius, I would say, Koshi Salihi, who is also half Yazidi, and she has lots of cultural backgrounds that has a story to it as well. And she got together with all of these artists, and they dedicated this first this first campaign of the Hands Off Our Girls exhibition, basically, to Afghanistan and to Afghan women. How it worked is that in Afghanistan, for those who don't know, in Afghanistan during that time, and even today, the bank system is failing. There's not enough money. So the only thing that can actually survive and help them is this crypto, the crypto wallet, which is very easy to basically transfer money to those, especially to those that are coming out, and most of their assets, if not all of their assets, have been frozen because they are against the new regime. And that is something that was very practical in a way. Code to Inspire is one of the NGOs that we're working with, and they are the ones that they're one of the only ones, if not the only one, that has the crypto wallets already set up through blockchain before we even had this issue. So they were the only ones that could actually get the help that we were raising funds here. That is one thing, to raise funds, but how do you bring it to these very, very impacted areas of the world, which is also caused by humans in a way, not in a way, it is caused by disasters that we all know about. So how do you help physically and first-handedly? These were the things that you have to manage, and you have to kind of go by the day. So every single day, we didn't only have all of these incredible artists that came together and put a huge campaign of awareness for the cause itself. Parallel to that, we raised funds. Parallel to that, we got the funds to the people. Parallel to that, we built a huge department for the Stand Up for Unity movement, which didn't exist before. So therefore, the idea of building such a campaign, you do need a lot of hands, but you also need community building, and those are the bridges that you need to make. Until let's say 2020, I've been called an expert in the field of fundraising in the physical world. Do I think that the physical world does not apply here? Absolutely not. You can actually have a huge extended arm with the NFT space to the physical world, which makes it a lot more interesting. But at the same time, financially, for the artists, it's extremely important. Some artists just want to give 10%. That is fine. So then let's build these blueprints that actually work. And we have it on the ground that works already. And because of a tragedy like that, you don't only have the parts where you have campaigning for the cause, but you also have campaigning for the artists. So Koshi and her curated incredible exhibition is also in another online gallery where you can do parallel things as far as marketing is concerned, as far as awareness is concerned, as far as funding is concerned. So you literally kill about 5 birds with one stone, which did not exist before. And that is what is really fascinating. Yes, this space is very small. We're not talking about the out there where people don't know a lot about crypto wallets and all of that stuff. But that is when we come in and we build these bridges between the physical and the digital. And the blockchain technology is the other thing, is that a lot of these artists that are on the ground, especially Afghan artists, have had to burn their artwork because art and culture and everything has been destroyed only in the last 8 weeks. How do we revive this art? How do we put it in stone, like the technology, with the blockchain technology? And I think that with Koshi, Hands Off Our Girls, and the other campaigns that will be, that are coming up, we're already on it, and the next ones are coming up. This is the best way to preserve culture, to preserve tradition, and to preserve a part of human history that nobody can touch, regardless of what happens in the physical world. And that is very fascinating to me, which I'm going to be working very closely and building more and more and more, especially towards the cultural part and you mentioned, Max, UNESCO, the work that UNESCO does. This makes UNESCO's work a lot easier, especially if we have these bridge building parts that are coming in with the artists that know how to kind of preserve it in a most creative way while fundraising. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nahid. And thank you so much for sharing that. I think, for a lot of people who are coming from the promise of crypto, right? There's a lot of people who sort of talk about, what crypto can do for the planet. Jack Dorsey recently has been very vocal about his thoughts there. I think that the work you're doing is so fascinating because it actually is the real thing, like both on the cultural preservation side, right? Being able to use this sort of digital medium to sort of create permanence, right? Digital permanence for otherwise maybe physically impermanent things. And also the fact that there are just kind of breakdowns in government stability, in like the way the society operates, right? In that vacuum, right? Can crypto actually become what people sort of talk about it being, right? Being able to sort of, stand in for some of the physical, existing infrastructure. So I would love to come back to you and love to, really support you. And I think many other, people here online, offline, like we'd love to kind of send them your way to sort of really, develop and contribute and support. But thank you for sharing and also doing this. Kevin, I know that you've been thinking a lot about the way that games can engage people and also can sort of activate people, maybe taking them from passive observers of something to sort of, actually engaging with it. Can you share with us a little bit more in depth of the creative works you're currently doing?
Yeah, of course. Also wanted to comment, Nahid, that was fascinating. And I love the idea of giving the artwork a permanent space in a space where it's being, destroyed and stepped upon. It kind of is essentially what decentralization and this whole space is about, is giving people the opportunity to create themselves. So that kind of segues into myself as well a little bit. As I mentioned earlier, I'm an artist, and I needed to find a way to pivot from being in the art space of physical art and events and concerts, and trying to bridge realities. And then, with online becoming more of the way that we represent ourselves and the way that we engage and interact with each other. Naturally, when I found the metaverse and NFTs and things, that spoke to me as an opportunity to build communities and to redefine what social engagement can be. So am I able to share my screen? Yeah, it looks like I can. So I'm just going to show you here. This is an example of the art that I make with my paintings, right? So I've taken these paintings and then digitized them and added motion to them to create a experience through NFTs and through artwork that I couldn't create in the physical world. And that kind of spoke to me as an opportunity to extend that into another area, which would be the engaging experience. So hosting concerts, when that kind of stopped, a lot of artists switched to the live stream experience. And with the metaverse, there's the capability of bringing people from across the globe to one space. So when you watch a live stream, usually it's on YouTube. A lot of people are watching. Normally this experience here would have been just a YouTube live stream channel where you're watching from home, right? But in this case, we have a mini game, we have art galleries, we have our screen, and we have people able to engage in a chat room. We have people able to play the game while they're learning. It really creates a new way to tell a story. And I think storytelling is one of the best ways that we can really help the planet and help these charitable causes is by telling their stories. So normally it's a lot of doom and gloom, your 20-minute advertisement with your Sarah McLachlan in the background, that kind of thing. And this is our way of really making it fun and revolutionizing what fundraising can be and how we can support artists. So, like myself, I was able to take my physical canvases and present them to the world. And being an independent artist, I've realized that a lot of other artists need their voice out there. So we created an art gallery in our metaverse where we can rotate through different artists and just give them a leg up and put their name out there. We've taken the mini games and created a story out of it where you're actually recycling and cleaning up. So not only are you playing the game and having fun and earning cryptocurrency, so it's a positive thing for you through that fun experience of raising your funds for yourself. We're actually also raising funds for the environment through the causes that we're supporting. So a lot of this is about the tech innovation that comes with NFTs too. We've also partnered with a company called Pepperzone that allows you to mine cryptocurrency in the background with your PC computing power in a carbon neutral way, because they offset their emissions by donating to an agroforestry farm. So they donate to agroforestry and education around that. We personally, through our system, are donating with you guys to savingpenguins.org. And we're also working with the Toronto Zoo to, again, bring that reality experience. So coming up like this week, we have a mini game campaign, I guess you'll say. So we have a week-long event where we'll have mini games educating about the climate. People can earn cryptocurrency and NFT rewards. We have a live concert where people from all across the globe will have DJs from the UK, DJs in Canada, DJs in the US, all streaming and people all playing mini games all at the same time, learning about the environment while we're fundraising. And you don't even really realize that you're raising funds because you're playing a game, you're earning cryptocurrency, but we're also taking that cryptocurrency and using that to donate back to the causes that we're able to support. And actually, I've got another little video here just to show you guys an example of the mini game, so you can see kind of how we're educating about cleaning up. It's just about this one here is an example of cleaning up the environment through recycling. So it's just a quick little clip. Can you guys see this?
Yep.
So as you can see here, you're running around, you're cleaning up pop cans from the Arctic. We're educating about just something simple you can do at home. We've got our art gallery up at the top here. People win rewards, and we're able to educate about the blockchain and how specific blockchains are also able to be environmentally conscious and be a better fit. So a large part of our product as well was telling people that blockchain isn't always going to be, and it isn't exactly the negative story you hear when it comes to the environment. Right away, the first thing you hear from people is, oh, it's bad for the environment, you shouldn't do that. And if you do it right, it can be good for the environment. We're carbon negative. We're also donating to the environment on top of that. We're adopting animals on top of that. We're educating. We're giving people funds through their cryptocurrency. We're supporting artists. And I'm doing this all from my apartment. I'm not, I'm not anybody that has a lot of money behind me. I have some networking skills and some experience from my, my different areas of experience in the past, but a lot of people do as well. And you can really take the skills you have through NFTs and cryptocurrency and create something fantastic. And that's what we've been able to do here with you guys at Project Ark and with our partners at the Nemesis. We've taken this conference and we've turned it into a really cool, engaging experience where community members can give each other high fives at a virtual space during this conference. And thank you, Max. I appreciate you bringing me on here and giving us the time to chat.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Kevin. Thank you for sharing that. I think that's, there's this amazing explosion of an idea called play to earn, right? And for, people who are video game enthusiasts, it's kind of a crazy concept. Usually when you play video games, like that's a black hole of your time. Here, there actually are opportunities for people to earn money, right? And there's a few stories I was reading about, through Axie Affinity, where there were people who were earning enough money to buy air conditioning for themselves, or people able to buy, like a car or a house. I mean, those are obviously like very big ticket items, but the average salary of the person in Indonesia was comparable to, right, and on a weekly basis, comparable to if you sort of were driving, transportation or other stuff, with the ability to actually participate in the digital economy, and actually that supplemented their income.
It's true. So, actually, one of our community members, we connected him with a friend of mine that is, I don't know what you'd call the team leaders, but we connected him with one of them, and he became a scholar because he's able to make double his wage being a scholar for a friend of ours playing Axie versus what he was doing as a regular 9-to-5 job. And that's phenomenal that A, we were able to help him out doing that, but B, that he's able to provide for himself and for his family through an experience that wouldn't have existed a little while ago. And in games, a lot of time you collect all these things and they become useless. You have a backpack full of useless stuff that you end up dropping. And what if you could resell that or help your friend get started in the game a little earlier and give them a leg up? And all that time you spent 20 hours grinding for this axe, what if that axe can become, a $20,000 axe for you, or even a $20 axe, or, whatever it may be, at 10 cents. It really changes what gaming is, and it gives back to the people that are putting their time into what you're creating.
Definitely. And just tying back to Nahid a little bit, I feel like, if there are proper rails, if there are proper ways to actually take the crypto money you would maybe collect online and then be able to use them offline, that can actually be a great source to drive value into places where they're cut off from the rest of the world, right? There's sort of a dependency on the local level of development in order for people to understand how can they participate and actually create income, right? But now we're living in the digital world. We can actually have this seamless cross-border experience. So I think there could be some really interesting things to explore. Obviously, a lot of it also deals with how do you actually connect to the real world, right? And I think that's a very important part. So I just want to get through everyone and we can have a mutual dialogue together. So Arturo, do you want to share a little bit about kind of your path and some of the really cool NFTs you've made, and then the stories behind them as well?
My path is a little bit complicated. I will try to speak I will try to speak as I can, because English is not my native language. So, in fact, I come from a very technical world. I started in industrial design, but I did art since I'm a kid. And in fact, I didn't accept that I wanted to be an artist. And I think that NFTs changed my vision and changed my way to work. I didn't want to do art because I didn't have the social aspect and the collaborative aspect that some works bring. And since I'm in the NFT space, I collaborate with a lot of people, and I think that almost 80% of the artworks are collaborations. And for me, this is a revolution, because I don't know you, but when I go to a museum, I always see in contemporary art or in traditional art, individual exhibitions, or maybe they are group exhibitions, but that don't have enough in common. And in NFT space, there is always a collaboration. Every day there are 100 collaborations and 100 groups and communities, and there is a social part that I never saw in my life. So it's very interesting the way that this social impact and these communities that are growing in the space. So thanks to that, last year at the end of the year, 2020, Mihai from Project Ark contacted me, and we started a project with you guys with Project Ark for creating a fundraising for the Carpathians. The Carpathian Mountains to help visons, to help locals to develop the ecosystem and help the ecosystem, because we had a lot of problems there. So from there, I saw the space evolve and evolve and evolve, and it's incredible how from December that, for example, CryptoPunks had 1 Ethereum or 2 Ethereums, and from now that a lot of projects are creating real creating real help to the world, like Nahid's explained it, or Kevin with the gaming. So I don't know what you want to explain to you, but for me the most important is the collaborative part and the social part. And if we continue like that, and we continue developing this kind of communities and working with real problems in the real world, bringing revenue with these new systems, we are going to change the world. And it's very important, because I think that some years ago, art was strictly for elites and for people that had millions to buy art. Yeah, you can sell your art for less money, but you are not going to have a salary. So now I see a lot of people having a real salary thanks to the NFT. So it's like a mega improve for humanity.
Yeah, thank you, Arturo. And just to kind of give you a shout out, the WWF Panda Labs project that actually gave birth to, Project Ark's, genesis actually was made by Arturo. Incredible sort of 3D dimensional eggs that actually capture the cultural heritage of Romania, mixed with actually the sort of new and sort of exciting aspects of this new space. So I'll definitely send a link. Actually, we'll share some of this stuff at the end of the session, and you guys can kind of admire it. Paired with really interesting music accompaniment as well. And then Chris, I think RCT is a really fascinating company, and Mirror World is a very kind of singular concept, something that we haven't necessarily seen much of actually in the traditional kind of NFT space. You guys are really pioneering a new category. Can you talk a bit more of kind of the technology that went into designing this, and also kind of the inspiration and themes and lessons learned actually from creating kind of interactive, dynamic NFTs?
Yeah, sure. I think our company has historically been focusing mainly on AI technology for the last 2 or 3 years. And I want to touch on something Arturo just said. It's the social aspect of NFT that kind of tied us into the space as well, that led us into creating our own project 2 months ago. And we were thinking very deeply about what we need to create a truly, decentralized metaverse, and look at the entire creation process, not only from a tool perspective, which we provide with our AI technologies, but also as a social perspective, the DAOs, the decentralized autonomous organizations that you need to govern these more and more complex, massive scale and self-growing economic systems. And we came to the conclusion that NFTs are a path to kind of provide the users, and also lead them into these worlds that we want to create. And that was the genesis of the idea of Mirror World. And we wanted to allow our technology to breed and to create these virtual beings, intelligent NFTs within the space. And we started actually with an commercial auction here in Asia back in May. And I think that was before the explosiveness of OpenSea and all the trading, or as it was going on. And we started the auction and sold our first intelligent NFT in May with a huge auction house in Beijing. And that was a very interesting experience. We tied the entire identity of this virtual character with the non-fungible token, and traded it on the secondary market afterwards as well. And I think that was the first project that really tied into our technology. And we realized that with traditional technology and workflow, it is impossible to go even further in creating a truly metaverse, because centralized companies are being increasingly redundant to govern centralized economies, which is becoming more and more complex. So that's why back in June, we started idealizing what Mirror World should look like. And to give a brief overview, let me just share my screen real quick of what the ideation of Mirror World really looks like. Just give me 1 second. Right. So we created these NFTs called mirrors, and they're the ideology is that they're trapped in a Web 2.0 world that is rescued. They are stuck in these data silos, because when you look at social media companies like Facebook or ByteDance, they create these data silos, and in their databases where you get very centralized algorithms pushed to you every single day, but the users themselves actually lack the autonomy of choosing their own data source and also protecting their own data privacies. And we wanted to tie that back into the worldview that we were creating. And when every mirror is trapped in the Web 2.0 world, the way for you to rescue them is to bring them back to Web 3.0, and the pieces of them will be stitched together to create a complete world piece, which will be the interconnected games that we are launching, starting alpha testing in November, December, and January. So it's a longer project timeline which we're creating, but it ties back to what Max was saying before. The entire GameFi system and also play to earn economy actually gave birth to a lot of new ideas within Southeast Asia. And when we're looking at game guilds, we're researching game guilds with over 5,000 Twitter followers, and there are hundreds of them being born. And some of the famous ones like YGG, DGG, and a lot of the other companies like GuildFi, they're actually providing livelihood for populations of thousands in individual areas where COVID has taken a lot of the utility out of their life. And I think that's a very interesting economy ecosystem that's being born within a digital game. So I think it's getting more past entertainment, and the world that we want to create is going to be an metaverse that is truly decentralized across different games, where assets are interoperable, and mirrors will be a entry pass to that. Let me just show you the technology that powers the entire mirror NFT. So in each mirror, what we created is an AI-powered soul, where I think this one has a soul of a celebrity like Elon Musk. So if you talk to it and discuss famous issues, we actually created this proof of work system where you can level up your mirrors and gain different rewards into different activities that we host on our website. The entire conversations behind the AI models are from really interesting material all through Wikipedia and different texts that we collect. And this also gives users an opportunity to really interact with their digital companion rather than just a digital identity. Because with profile pictures, really you only get to use one of your profile pictures at a time, and all the other NFTs that go into your collection kind of get left behind in your OpenSea or in MetaMask, whatever you use. And we think that by creating these digital companions, we're actually giving them utility and giving them a space for them to really gain their own lives. And that is the point of intelligent NPCs as well in these open world games, to guide you through different metaverses and lead you into the experience, and for you to really put your energy, time, and most importantly, emotion into interacting with these little guys and having them as a part of your collection. And that was something that led to the birth of Mirror World. Hope that answers your question, Max.
Oh, it does. And just to respond to the text chat you showed us, even at 19 years old, you're still old enough to have impact, as the person responded. So I think one of the things I really want to see, and through this panel as a means of simple means, is really to have Arturo and Nahid and Kevin see the incredible potential that actually AI-driven kind of NPCs can bring. Right, I think this is a revolutionary change in actually the step change for what these NFTs can do, and hope that you guys can really connect with each other afterwards and find ways to work together and co-create. At 8 o'clock today, we actually have someone calling in from Mexico who will also kind of represent her side of it from DOT. So we'll have her join us in a few minutes here. But while we're waiting, maybe what I can do is kind of ask you guys a quick sort of way to stitch together some of the things we've talked about, right? So on the call here, we have, the idea of gaming, the idea of kind of beautiful 3D architecture design, the idea of social impact and localization, and finally, the idea of actually creating kind of a background intelligence for this. Do each of you guys see, the promise that the future metaverse, the future digital world could actually become more interesting or more dynamic to live in than actually the physical one we see here, right? The one where we're sort of constrained by our immediate surroundings. And where do you feel like your company will grow, or your personal projects will grow in the creation of that kind of cohesive meta unit? It's a big question. You guys can maybe
I can go first.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks. As far as the work that we do on the ground, which is very physical, so that's the real world, I think we are still very far from bringing the physical world into the metaverse, or into the let's say into the virtual world, because there's a lot of 101 education that is missing. I always put an emphasis on the fact that what we are talking about, the world out there does not understand anything we're saying. So in order to bring this into the physical world, or the physical world into here, we need a lot of education and a lot of time and a lot of open-mindedness, and finding the like-minded people who listen also in the systems, so that they change the systems and they allow us to go into these adventures according to them. Because the world, the world today of what we are talking about right here, I'm telling you, it's a very small percentage. It's a very powerful percentage. But this is what I see is that we lack education to the regular people in order for them to come here, because there's a lot of great intellectuals and a lot of truly creative people with creative minds that we can bring into the spaces. But the only way to do that is to do exactly what we're doing, to talk about it, and also go back a couple of steps and to do the 101 education more and more and more in the next couple of years. They will come, especially the young generation will come. And when it comes to the social impact, or rather the developing world, let's not forget that most of these countries that, let's say, we work in have a very high percentage of young people. So if you talk about Afghanistan, 64% of the Afghan people are under 24 years of age and very, very vibrant. And although there's a war and everything is going backwards, nevertheless, that power of the youth and the fact that they're open and they have grown up with this technology, with some of this technology, gives us an upper hand on how to bring them into the space so that we can utilize and pick their brains to bring something good to the space as well. As far as how long it takes, I'm not too sure whether that physical world is ready to come on board. Nevertheless, the bridges that we are building right now will be the future for that world to come on board. That's what I really think, that we today are going to be building these bridges, which are becoming extremely important for the next decades.
Yeah, I fully agree with that. I've been part of the music festival scene for a long time, and back in 2013, I was at a festival called Electric Forest, and there's a T-shirt that I was looking at buying where it was an AR augmented reality T-shirt, and this was over almost a decade ago. But you held your phone over the T-shirt, and it came to life. The art moved, and I saw that and was like, "This is the future. This is coming." And here we are now, where AR is starting to really be integrated into our lives, and like advertisements stuff on the street, they're starting to become AR. We're starting to come out with AR glasses. And over the holiday weekend, we held a concert in our metaverse in the Nemesis, and we had mini games. And my nieces and nephews, they're between ages 8 and 12. They were like basically fighting over the laptops to try the games and play these experiences and test this out. But they were also telling me that recently they started learning coding. So they're 12-year-olds talking about learning coding. My nephew's art project recently, he didn't want to do art, so he built his art project in Minecraft. His art project was a Minecraft world. So they're born in the metaverse. They're born in this technology. They are literally the children of the metaverse. So with the access to technology that they have, and being born in a dying world, the day that they're born, they know that this is what's going on. They know that people need help and that there's opportunities to create things. So I think bridging these realities is really important. And I think what we're doing here, it really does create that opportunity. Through playing these games and stuff, I was able to talk about climate change with my nieces and nephews who are currently learning coding, who are 12 years old, and we're having a concert at the same time so I can enjoy the music. And it's really neat how we're able to do all of this through the metaverse experience. And I think, like she said, the kids that are learning about this, they're born into this world. I was on a Twitter Spaces the other day, and it was all about the kids of the metaverse, and there was kids average age 9 through 15, and they had all started projects. And another student recently started a DAO with his school. So a 16-year-old kid took his Ethereum earnings and started a DAO with his school between the art program and the other students. So the art program students are creating the art, and then the other students are putting it out on the internet as like a collaborative thing within his school. And this is going to become more and more and more of a relevant thing and more common. And it's really fantastic to watch in real time.
Yeah, I think that's super exciting, Kevin. I think your kids are going to be incredible, talented people. They're going to be first-class citizens of the upcoming metaverse. And just hearing about the fact that people are creating DAOs in high school or even middle school. I want to briefly pause. I know there's a lot more to say, and probably Chris and Arturo have deep thoughts of their own. But we're just going to briefly introduce Mireya, calling in here from Mexico and representing a really amazing set of projects and also kind of stories. Kind of give her a chance to briefly introduce herself and some of the projects she's working on. Kind of come back to the group discussion. So over to you, Mireya.
Hello, my name is Lorena Rodriguez.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Yes.
I apologize. Okay.
I just rename it. Yes, hi, my name is Lorena Rodriguez. I am a visual artist from Mexico. And Mireya and I think Mireya was before, and Mireya and I have an initiative called DOT, and we represent several artists. In this time, the curator, Lucia Lara, helped us to choose a group of artists from Mexico. It's 7 artists that are participating in this exhibition right now. I don't know if how many time do I have. Maybe I can speak a little bit about the artist. Is that okay?
Yes, please.
Okay. The artist Lucia chose this time are very different kind, but everybody works right now in digital. So there is Francisco Larios. His name is Paco Larios. We know him as Paco Larios. He is maybe the most known between the artists that are participating. And he has been working with digital art for many years. But of course, he just started using the NFTs. And he has a long career in art. He has been in Christie's and everything. He has a kind of work that is kind of geometrical. Right now, most of the work is maybe abstract work, but he used to do also figurative few years ago. The other one is other one of the artists is Cecilia Barretto. She's a girl from Mexico City, and she works with markets like stock markets and that kind of stuff, with the statistics and the graphics. She right now is at the Havana Biennial, and she has had a lot of grants and prizes. We have also Danielle Esteros. Danielle Esteros works with sound and the graphics of sound. His work is very interesting. He has been working even with Tibetan, I don't know the name in English, but cuencos tibetanos, Tibetan, the stuff that you make some noise. And he also gives concerts with this kind of stuff. And he did a project, but that consists in talking with a robot and using all the talking, all the phrases to make works, questioning a little bit if the bot has feelings or not, because he started to receive answers that seems like the robot has feelings. It's very interesting. Another one is Danielle Perez Rios. Oh, sorry, Danielle Perez Rios is the one. They are both Danielle. So Danielle Perez Rios is the one with the bot, and Danielle Lara Ballesteros is the one with sound. And who else? Eugenia Martinez worked with words and also with some kind of magic and cards and readings and all of that stuff. I don't know if I am missing one. Oscar Lozano, he works with lines and color, and myself. I am right now working with, I am doing a project named Rona, where I work with the SARS-CoV-2, the virus, nucleotides, and the genomic sequencing and all of that stuff, the graphics of the pandemic and everything. So we are 7 artists.
Thank you so much, Lorena, and thank you for that very comprehensive introduction. Especially on the personality for AI thing. I think you and Chris should talk to each other after. I think there's some really cool maybe overlaps of ideas there, and ideas of sound. The ideas of some of the other multimedia ways you described are really fascinating as well. later on, I think if you have, kind of screenshots or things you want to show via screen share, we'd love to have you display some of that. Part of the magic, I think, of this gathering here today is that we really want to have like a global audience for this physical exhibition, right? So we have audiences watching this, currently in Hong Kong, but also kind of around the world on Zoom and even in Nemesis. There's a few kind of pictures of giant screens of our faces in Nemesis right now. So I think, really excited to have you join and really appreciate the work you're doing there. I think that we're coming to maybe a second phase of the chat. Everyone has had a chance to sort of share a little bit about your individual projects, and I would love to kind of take the opportunity to sort of ask you guys some questions and create some discussion. Have you guys also talk to each other, right, and sort of have an interaction that way. So I guess Lorena, from your perspective, like what's been the uptake, right, the sort of evolution of NFTs as an idea, right, in Mexico, right? Is this something that's happening, very wide? Is this very niche? And then how is this actually being received by, the people who are involved in either our community or either in the digital asset and crypto community?
There's a lot of interest between the artists in this kind of the tokens. It is not something that is very common already, but artists are very, very open to all of this and very interested. I don't think there's a market already in Mexico. This is just starting because, we are always a little slower in technology in terms of adopting the technology and using it. So there has been some artists that started minting their own NFTs and making exhibition. I have participated in two exhibitions, but it was from Spain, both of them. Artists are very, very open and very interested because it's very interesting technique that, all the stuff with the tokens that you can use the technology. You see the art, you can put it anywhere in the world without having to move it physically. So without paying for the shipping. So this is very useful for art because you can take even more, the sculpture is even more interested for them because you can move sculptures anywhere in the world, even though it's virtually. So it's a technology that allows to make a lot of good stuff with the art, gives us even more horizons, that give us better tools to work, but also helps a lot in the times that we just lived, like the pandemic, the restrictions in borders and all of that. So yes, there is a lot of expectation, but it is not as common as it is in Asia.
Yeah, thank you, Lorena. And just also kind of spreading the question across, each of you guys this is 5 speakers from 5 time zones. Can you just share a little bit about where, you see the adoption and sort of awareness of both NFTs and generally digital assets in your community, right? On a sort of, in your friend group, as a small microcosm of kind of like the geographic locations you guys are in. Anyone feel free to start.
Yeah, I'll hop on. So I'm based in Toronto, and my friend network kind of expands across North America, basically, a lot of US and Canadian. Our Purple Penguin community is international, being an NFT and cryptocurrency based community and being in the Nemesis. So I see a lot of different opinions and perspectives on what NFTs are and what we're doing in this space. I find my personal friends, they're happy for me, but they don't understand exactly what we're doing. Some of them like it and they're interested. I've had a few friends reach out and want to learn more. Can you teach me what this is? Can you show me how to mint an NFT? A lot of people really like that we're able to tie an environmental story to it. So they may not be interested necessarily in, what an NFT is yet, or they may not quite understand how it's going to integrate into their lives, but they appreciate that we're able to do something positive out of it. So even if they don't quite understand what we're doing because of the way that we've approached it, they're still appreciative and interested in some way or another. And then, of course, there's other people that come at me with the environmental side of things. And of course, with our platform being connected to, you guys at Project Ark and working with Gaia Together and the agroforestry project through Pepper Zone and all of these different elements that we've brought into our project. Even my personal NFTs, I chose to mint on Tezos because of the clean NFT and the environmental aspect there. It's really great to be able to tell the story that maybe this isn't so bad. And it's really interesting to see the different perspectives. A lot of people really love it. A lot of people are excited about it. A lot of people are curious and want to know more. And then there's the people that are just going to say no right away. I don't want anything to do with that. And that's fair as well. But in my eyes, coming from the concert industry and things like that, your concert ticket right now, what is it? A boring stub from Ticketmaster that says some text on it. In the near future, that could be an NFT that gives you access to the band or the DJ. That could give you, early rewards, early ticket access, things in the future, merch. It could be a cool piece of art that you can then resell to cover the cost of your concert ticket, which, coming from the Grateful Dead community and that kind of side of things, a lot of people would sell artwork of the band's artwork that they made, fan art, to get to the next show. So this kind of really takes that to another level where bands and artists and musicians and like physical artists, painters and things can create a mailing list. It takes Patreon and the idea of connecting to a mailing list to your community to a whole other world. And I think people are really going to adopt this technology across every industry. I think this is really going to touch every industry, like house deeds, car maintenance, everything is going to become tokenized because it can be, and it makes sense for most things to be if we do it right. And really, it's just interesting to see people as different things will stick out to them. The one person will hear what Nahid was saying earlier about art being destroyed and being put on the blockchain to make it permanent, and that will speak to them. Someone else will see the gaming side and that will speak to them. Chris's thing with adding a soul to NPCs, I think a lot of gamers will really be like, what the hell is that? That's super interesting. And it's really cool to see what people are attracted to and what turns them on to NFTs as we grow and, again, experience this in real time.
And if I could, thanks, Kevin. And I would add to what Kevin just said. I live in Munich, Germany. Everything comes very late. Although a lot of the technology is, developed here, it just let's just say that the society is very, very conservative. So the Germans love to do an incredible amount of research to make sure that that last piece, even if it's been researched and have been approved, it gets approved again. So that they make sure that they just put whatever that they put out there is at the top of the level when it comes to the quality of it. As far as interest is concerned, of course, you have to also say the finances. 11th of March made a huge, huge, huge dent into the history of the art world. And the gatekeepers of the art world from the physical world, as I mentioned, I come from 30 plus years of fine arts. So I have my own collectors, and I never worked with any kind of any gallery because I was the black sheep and didn't like the gatekeeping. Therefore, I found my niche. It was a very difficult one. I have my own collectors and I do commission work, which works fine. But then the gallery world does not like me. They probably would put it like 50% or 90% lower than what it's worth. But I know what I sell, and it's not for that. So the gallery and the art world, the physical art world, had to come on board, whether they liked it or not. It is like the iPhones, all those that did not listen to what Steve Jobs had to say and to the I's and the iPods and I this and I that, were left behind and eventually bankrupt. So that is the one aspect that I think, whether we like it or not, people are going to come in, even in Germany. It's very, very, very funny that at the beginning of the year, or rather in April, when I approached a few people, I said, well, what do you think of this? And let's see what we can do, collaborations with NFTs, all of that stuff. Although I had read about NFTs for about a year or something, literally did my 7 p.m. to 1 a.m. That was my NFT research. What I learned on on the Twitter space and on Clubhouse in 2 months was worth 5 times more than what I learned in that 1 year. So people are now coming in. I see the Germans in the space. I see the gallerists in the space. I see people that are interested in NFTs. I also have, for example, on the 2nd of December, I have Tiffany's, the jewelry company, who's doing a huge gala here, and they're auctioning my Audrey Hepburn NFT, because it is connected to that, and it's an approved one by Sean Hepburn. So these things are coming into the play, and they're using methods, and they're open because they know that they don't have the 7 to 1 a.m. for 6 months in a row to sit and listen to the audios, and it takes a lot of guts to do that, because we all know that. But the physical world, I don't think that it will ever be to that what we have made this space for us, because we are we're the crazy ones. We're considered the crazy ones. How dare you sit on a computer for 5 hours without eating food or anything like that? And then for somebody like a young entrepreneur like Chris that comes in and says, well, you know what you can do with your NFT? Well, they don't even understand it. But it's not because they don't want to be in the space. They say it will come to a point, I think, and it already has started, that they will say, well, Nahid or Kevin or Harto or Max or Lorena, take our account, make it what you think is best. We will appear on your Zooms, we will appear on your panels, but we will give you, and you become this agent. I think that these bridge builders are the ones that are there's going to be a completely new venture in new jobs when it comes to NFT space, because of the fact that it moves so fast. I've been busy with like, as I mentioned, with Afghanistan for the past since 15th of August, but every single week I'm doing my humanity room. I'm still doing all of those things, but it's very little. It's maybe 5% of my time right now, because we're writing a book and this and this and this. But at the same time, I have so many people approaching me, and I actually advise them on NFTs. I'm not an NFT geek. And I'm not and I love being a geek in the space, to be honest. And they call me a geek, and I say, well, that is a very big compliment, because that is where the world is going to go, and that is where it's going. And somebody, like I said, that very good friend of mine told me that in 2009, and I'll remember it was October 9th or October 10th, 2009, when he said, Nahid, because he commissioned, it was Sean Hepburn, he commissioned me to paint the most expensive Audrey Hepburn stamp, which was back then, it was worth a mere, a tiny little stamp, a mere $500,000. And he wanted to do an interpretation of his mom's painting, like portrait, as what he would have loved in that stamp. And we auctioned it off in that gala that night at an overwhelming price. And we signed the check to UNICEF's education programs, because she was the first UNICEF ambassador. And I remember that he told me, he said, I will write you a letter, because I know that in case I'm not here anymore, that you will need that letter that gives you the authorization and my approval that you own the image of that painting. He said, that painting that just sold for 20, 30,000, that's nothing. That image will always be, and it will be worth a lot more one day than that painting itself. And I never understood it until this year. Now I know what an image is worth. Now I know how we can revive all of those art pieces that have been stolen, looted, burned in Afghanistan, in Syria, all of these things, these incredible monumental things that humanity, the human race built. How can we give it, and maybe eventually also, go work with Chris's technology someday where it could be interactive someday. And so that somebody can actually explain to us what it is when we don't even exist anymore. So I think I see a huge potential that people will have to come on board, whether they like it or not, and they will.
I would like to say something. My last 3 projects were made in digital art, and my mother used to tell me, why digital? Why? You are not doing anything. My mother is also an artist. She's a painter. So she told me, why you are not doing anything? You do art, but this is digital. There is nothing physically. And I told her many times, I love digital, so I will keep working in digital. Now she understands a little bit. I just spent a few days ago maybe an hour explaining her about this exhibition, and it was very, very hard. But the digital gives a lot of tools artistically, a lot of tools, and it is great, incredibly great that we now have the tokens to make these creations worth, because a lot of these creations were just like you know, something that is there and it's great, but has no value, and now is different. This is I think this is something that will change art world in a way that we haven't realized.
Arturo and Chris, do you guys want to?
Yeah, I wanted to say, I totally agree with you. Every time that I ask to my friends, now friends are starting to understand the NFT world. Families starting to read, but 6 months ago, anyone was understanding what I were talking to them. But it's normal because, as David say, it's moving super fast. And in fact, if you are not inside, if you are not in Telegram, in Twitter, in Clubhouse, if you are not talking with people, understanding how the things are moving, politicians don't have the time because they created laws, but in this space, the laws are being created by DAOs, by communities that are using the token for doing governance. So it's a new way to interact and to build a community. It's like creating little countries or nations inside the digital world, and it moves super fast, and that's why people don't understand yet. But I totally agree that the big guys, the big companies, they have the obligation to enter because we move it faster than them. Last year, I was telling to me it's not possible that we are not seeing like the Louvre or the MoCA or MoBA or something like that doing an exhibition of NFTs when you have artists selling almost for $1 million. And then we started to saw Christie's and etc. So it's like usually the system creates this kind of scenarios, but it's the people and the community that created the ecosystem. So it's great, and it's normal to don't understand because it's moving super fast.
Super fast.
Chris, any thoughts from you?
Yeah, I think I was lagging out a little bit there. Back online now. So I heard that he was talking about how fast the industry is moving and it's creating new jobs or new opportunities for a lot of the members within the space. And I just wanted to touch a little bit on that. So first, I think surprisingly, where I come from, I lived in Canada, Europe, and in New York for various periods of my time, my life. But came back to China and to Asia, a year ago. And I think surprisingly, there's very, very positive reception of the entire NFT construct here in the space. And I think that there are a lot of derivative projects where there's media, news articles that are surrounding what NFT really can bring to the area. And that's why we can innovate so fast and iterate our products within weeks of ideation. And we came up with our project about 45-50 days ago, and we've already launched and started the entire implementation of our AI technology to other projects. There are OpenSea projects that came to us and said, hey, can you attach the AI powered soaps to our community as well and provide utility for them? And I think that was something unimaginable a couple of months back, and I love how fast the entire speed is. And something else that really intrigued me was when we started out building our Discord channel, I had no idea how to use Discord. And it seemed like an entirely new space for us. But having Discord as your central hub or even a temple for your community to come and just communicate and chat about the ideation behind your project. And they come up with really good ideas about having DAO wallets, having assets that can, provide liquidity and having, extra utility for your games. And they just kind of start proposing and voting in their own communities. And I think that's fascinating. So we were looking for a moderator to run our Discord channel. And then we were reaching out, cold emailing, cold tweeting all these guys that were just really interesting people on Twitter. And then finally, we reached this guy that owned a GameFi guild that runs all access scholarships for his own community members. And he agreed to do that for us. And what intrigued me the most was that he's a 9-to-5 Cisco security web service engineer. And he agreed to do our Discord moderating after work every single day. And he's been amazing at it. And he brought, thousands of people from his Discord channel and from his GameFi community that came to us and said, hey, Axie Infinity is awesome and it changed my life, but I want something more fun and something more interesting as a decentralized IP. And, AI technology really intrigued that group of people as well, who are really making a living through these GameFi projects. And we were thinking that maybe we can provide tools from our AIs to, lessen the burden for them and make the GameFi experience more easy for them to really earn their living. And it was just really interesting to see people from Thailand, Indonesia, who spoke Tagalog, German, Korean, to all come together and have a Cisco web engineer moderate the channel. And he was in the UK. And every perception of that, entire Discord channel was just something new to me before I joined the community. So I just wanted to touch that a little bit and just mention how fascinating that whole experience was.
I agree with that fully. Creating jobs and the community experience. I didn't understand online communities until I created our Discord and joined a couple other Discords through collecting different community things. And it really is a real thing. I never got it until now.
Right. It's like individual nations within the entire little channels.
Yeah, and we're looking for community managers too and stuff. All these little projects, every single project needs staff. So all these million little NFT projects, they're all creating jobs for people. The art, the community manager, the marketing, there's a lot of things being created by your average person right now. It's pretty fantastic.
And it's also engaging the youngest.
Yeah, the demographic, the age group, you have 13-year-olds working with people my age or 35, and then you've got people that are in their 50s and stuff. And it's really neat to see that age isn't a thing when you get into the digital space anymore. It's your skill, it's your community skills, it's your communication skills. You could be 12 and be just as talented at speaking and at your abilities as somebody who's 2-3 times your age, and you could be working together on a fantastic project. It's really neat to see the blending of skills communities. You have coders and artists and marketers and finance all working together at the same time. It's really weird.
Yes.
Yeah, and the levels of organization. It's like you enter in a Discord and you see all these channels, and sometimes you have 10,000 people and it's super organized. It's awesome. I don't know how they do it, because sometimes it's
Yeah. Yes, I have been doing animation with my little daughter, and she's 7. So we have been working together in animation. So imagine.
I look forward to her first release.
Yeah.
So as we come close to the end of our session here, we're going to try to wrap up in maybe 5 to 10 minutes here. I just want to ask a few more questions to our amazing panel of experts here. One question I have is, how do you think the traditional art and general kind of collectible valuable group is, going to evolve into the future? Something that Hugh said about the fact that there were a lot of gatekeepers and there was kind of, very rigorous rules you had to play in order to even have access to people, to profile, to exhibition. A lot of that is just completely disappearing, right? And, it's really kind of a very new place, a new access model. And then to Chris's point, what are the cultural ways that NFTs can actually kind of persist? Building on the idea that each representation, each piece actually is not only a sort of two-dimensional or three-dimensional object, it also is a symbol, right? It is something that it has meaning to people. And now that we can actually add interactivity, design, AI and other things to it, maybe these symbols actually start taking lives of their own, right? They actually become kind of organizing principles around which communities sort of, form themselves. One of the most interesting things I was reading a lot about is actually loot, right? The idea that someone just created a bunch of text randomly generated from a script, and then people out of the woodwork created their own interpretations of the text, right? Actually, this is a sort of a completely flipping on the head. Instead of actually relying on perhaps the individual artist to be the creative genius, right? Sort of creating the thing. Actually, everyone gets to contribute their particular interpretation, and that actually is the community itself. So, love to understand, where you sort of see this evolution going.
Do we just unmic?
Yeah, anyone can go for it. It's open floor.
I think it is to go back to keep it short. It is very important to know that behind every single tech gadget stands a human, and that is the most important thing, to connect stories also to these brands, also to these authentic pieces, also to each, whether it's a deliverable, if it's not. The only way, I think, the only way that you will capture and keep that captured attention of the person that is behind that screen is if you connect a great story to it. And each one of these deliverables and each one of these incredible campaigns. I mean, I could go back to my to Koshi's Hands Off Our Hands campaign, although it is a over 30 plus, and you see the red threads in every single piece. Nevertheless, if you go to each one of the pieces, it will tell you a completely different story, an authentic story, connecting it back to that campaign, connecting it back to another campaign, connecting it back to Afghanistan, for the first project goes to Afghanistan. So I think that it is extremely important that when we, as, call it bridge builders, whatever you want to call us, all of us, when we have the choice, and this is a huge privilege, and I always make sure that people realize in what kind of a privileged position we are at this moment, at the beginning of a movement, at the beginning of a renaissance, where in 10 years, people are going to look back at this. We are writing history right now. So when you do decide to write history in whatever way, shape, or form, make sure that you have your authentic stamp on it, so that it has a story that connects to something, so that it's not just a blah, 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 but rather it has, and that is the way that you know that it's going to be successful. I think that is the key to everything that we do in this space, whether it is NFTs, whether it's in blockchain, whether it's cultural preservation, whatever it is, it all connected back to a human story. And that is what will be the key for survival and sustainability of the NFT space.
I think something very, very important is that art has been struggling for years, maybe centuries, to be available to everyone in their daily life. But instead, it is alienated to the galleries and the museums. And in terms of the NFTs, you have it right there in the same place where you are navigating and searching in the web and everything. So I think this finally puts art into our daily lives. And this is very, very important because, for example, one of my students asked me, what was this stuff of NFTs and whatever. And I was trying to explain her, but she's not very technological and she didn't understand. And I said, okay, let me just put you this in this way. She has a 5-year-old son, and I told her, show Nyan Cat to him. He will know what it is. And when the little boy saw Nyan Cat, he said, "Oh, the cat with the rainbow." So it is known even for the most little ones. So I think this puts art into our daily lives, and this is amazing.
Yeah, I think you're right. And also with the child comment, we're born digitally native now. So there's that element where you're born into the internet, but also there's online marketplaces. So for myself to sell physical canvases, it's very difficult to find new clients and find people that are interested in my artwork. I have to grind on Instagram. I have to do lots of different things, show up to art shows. And it's a lot of work to really get your name out there. Whereas with marketplaces, people are looking for it. And this is really a window into yourself. It's a digital representation of who you are. When you look at someone's wallet on, say, OpenSea or Here Equals Now or whatever platform you go through, it's a window into their personality and their persona and how they want to display themselves and what they're interested in. And a little more so than, say, Instagram or something, because you're putting your money behind it. Your Instagram, your Facebook, your Twitter image, that's who you want people to think who you are and see who you are. But the art you're collecting, the profile pictures you're collecting in these collectible communities and stuff, the actual one-of-one art pieces, that's stuff you resonate with, and that really speaks to who you are, and it's your representation of yourself in a digital era. So I think, like what you said, the artwork being on a digital space and being more embedded into our lives is really what's happening here. We're giving artists a chance to A, be found, but B, also to have ourselves speak through art.
Yes, totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah, from our side, I think it's also very interesting that we're not limited just to one industry. NFT kind of entails so many different industries, including music, art, fundraising, finance, all the different aspects of these industries come together and kind of broaden your horizon as well. And for us, something that we continuously do is to reach out to traditional IPs and these traditional brands that may not have gone into the NFT space and would love to see what that world's about. And that's the utility we provide to them as well, to increase their brand value in this digital native environment. And for us to reach out and do a crossover with their brand and say, hey, we love to put our mirrors onto your brand of clothing and then increase the demand for our products while having a wider reach of the entire community. So I think when those things come together, the possibility of your collection as a whole kind of bypasses the traditional borders of curating a collection in the art world itself. And it really expands into various different opportunities for your, whether it's your brand or your NFT or your artists, and the collaborations that the giveaways, the collaborations really bring to you adds entirely new values to the entire company as a whole, or the organization, or the DAO, as we call them. And I think that's something we have not been able to do in the past in the traditional art world.
Yes.
Yeah, we actually had a call yesterday, I think it was, or Friday, with the local Toronto Zoo and Wildlife Conservancy with Project Ark, and we're connecting them to get the Toronto Zoo set up for onboarding for cryptocurrency and for NFT access experiences, and rebranding what it is to be a zoo and how people can engage with the animals and how zoos can fundraise and support the animals and give them a better life. One of the things Project Ark has mentioned before is a relocating of animals and using NFTs to fund that sort of thing, and like living coral reef experiences and telling the story of climate change through NFT experiences and access to different events and stuff. Like, brands can give their audience and collectors access to more than just a piece of art. It can be a doorway to the world of Project Ark, or the world of the zoo, or the world of whatever gallery, or the world of McDonald's. Like, I'm sure McDonald's Monopoly is going to come out with NFTs soon enough.
I think they're already doing that.
Yeah.
Actually, pretty sure it's going
to. I'm sure the next series will be that.
3 or 4 months ago, I think. Yeah,
right.
McDonald's did like 3 months ago, something like that.
Right. It's the symbols that you really connect with. It's not only the brand, but the symbol behind the NFTs. And I think that touched on all the things that we spoke of. Just expanding your horizon with this digital identity. Really, when you join the community, you also join the movement.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys so much. That was a very eloquent way for us to sort of have some concluding thoughts. If I can just share a few comments here. I think we're really living through history, as our panelists have put it. And I think these moments that we're going through, right, where everything's still very new and exciting and kind of wide-eyed, and is such a precious time, because the rules are not written, right? Like, every industry, everything that happens goes through these S-curves. And so we're sort of at this point where now there's like global awareness of NFTs, right? There's no one, if you go to like some far away distant corner of the planet. If you go to Alaska, have you heard of NFTs? I'm sure someone has heard and touched that, even though they may not personally have interacted with it yet. And I think the idea that very quickly, within 2 or 3 months, 5, 6 months, the whole world of 7 billion people is now present to a concept is really phenomenally. Bring back to the theme of our evening and of the exhibit itself. I personally really want to emphasize that I think crypto, NFTs, blockchain is in some ways the missing ingredient for us to actually have collective human action at scale. Because up to this point, we've usually had to organize in small groups, very localized, and able to only drive impact around our vicinity. And also there was a lack of funding. Even today, right now, right, with the whole world kind of burning down with climate change, there is a struggle to fund the mere $100 billion climate change adaptation fund from 190 countries in the world, not cities, countries. 100 countries, 190 countries can't cough up enough money to put together a $100 billion fund. Meanwhile, right, during COVID in the United States, during the stock market kind of crash, within 1 week, Congress passed a $5 trillion bill, $5 trillion completely injected into the stock economy to kind of keep the shares up so that, people felt safe about that part of the world. So to me, this kind of mismatch of scale of like extra zeros, right? Like several, 4 or 5 zeros difference in magnitude is to me a values crisis. Like we are improperly valuing the things on the planet that are keeping us alive versus the things that, we should be chasing or society has told us to chase, right? Or other ideas. And as we sort of regenerate the new economy, right, the new digital economy, I think what's really exciting is we have the ability to write into the economy itself, into the rules that govern NFTs, right, govern digital assets, sustainability, empathy, and fairness and human compassion. These are things that we can engineer into our economy, and I think that's actually kind of the opportunity we've been gifted, right? This is an opportunity that exists once in a lifetime, because at some point the window is going to close, right? They're going to be like, these are the rules, like the ERC 721 and 1155. These are rules that are not going to change anymore. There's been reached consensus. So what I really want to do, and I invite all of the people on this panel, people sitting in Hong Kong and people watching online, is that we have to create a new standard where there is the idea of social impact baked into the NFTs, and actually have that become an ERC, 7,421, some future number. And then when people mint NFTs, they can use that standard as a framework, as a sort of blueprint for all of the things they want to do, right? And I think that is one easy way to actually activate and encode, right, cultural knowledge into kind of a cascading set of events. So I just want to thank all the people who've devoted their evening to this, especially our panelists kind of calling in from 6 cities around the world. I think this is an absolute celebration of the incredible activity that is this crypto thing. Hopefully this is not last time we get to convene. We'll definitely kind of create more opportunities to hang out together. And then I just want to give you guys a sneak peek at what you guys look like if this works on Nemesis, because there's people in Nemesis, there's little figures in Nemesis watching this giant screen where you guys are. So this is the virtual space that is actually here, and we will shortly see ourselves on this on this giant screen. We've actually been taking pictures through the panel with you guys, as you're speaking, and we'll be sending those pictures to you as a way to share or celebrate. But I think this is kind of a fun way to sort of see the virtual world in the virtual world. And there was a moment I had before where we saw in Minecraft, some guy actually Skyped himself into a giant screen. He built a giant cell phone in Minecraft. Oh, I think you missed it, Tom. If you go back, yep, there it is. So there's a few seconds delay. I think this is a playback of some moment in the past here. But this is what some people have been watching. There's actually little figures. Look, if you get closer, there's little people sitting there watching this. That is you guys. This message and this recording we're going to share on YouTube and sort of other stuff. But this has now been recorded as a moment in history as well. And hopefully you guys get to send this to your friends or just kind of play back this in a few years' time. Wow, now we get to watch the history. Oh, this is going to be crazy.
Cinematic inception. I want to give a shout out to the Nemesis. Honestly, they've been a fantastic partner for us. The fact that they could build this for you guys as well, like it's really incredible what they're able to do in short time. And if you love music, come next Saturday. We have a free concert for everybody, so come check out on the 23rd. It's an all-day long event. But yeah, shout out to the Nemesis for being able to help us spread word and be a voice in this industry as well that's trying to spread positive change in a unique way.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. I mean, thank you, Nemesis. You guys are on the banner here. And thank you, Tom, for showing this to us. So lastly, I just want to give each one of you guys, a chance to kind of close out your sharing session. Very short, punchy, something you want to leave for posterity. Chris, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Chris once again, and thank you guys for having me here. We are RCT AI, and the project name is called Mirror World, and we are the first intelligent NPC that's hosted in an NFT. Yeah, I think that's about it.
You guys can go self-elect. It's a round robin.
I'll go, and I'm Nahid, and I'm here for the We the Women and Stand Up for Unity campaigns. And I know that we are the only campaign that is in crypto, especially with the hands of our girls and the NFT for Freedom campaigns that joined us for Afghanistan in the last 8 weeks, where it is almost impossible to help anybody on the ground because the NGOs are not there, but we have been able to do that through the NFTs. And I'm very proud of everybody and all the artists that have been a huge part of that. And we hope to be doing much more, especially for culture and for the arts, to save and basically preserve them all into the blockchain. Thank you.
My name is Kevin. I'm representing Purple Penguin. We are a environmental blockchain games company and entertainment company. Just want to say thanks for having us out here. And I really liked the comment that you made, Max, of a value crisis. We always talk about the climate crisis and the environment crisis, but I think value crisis is actually a fantastic way of summing up what's going on.
I'm Arturo or Harto. I am a collaborator from Project Ark since 1 year. And to put only an example, when I was a child, we had only 1 hour of art in school. That's something that we need to change and to put art and social impacts in the front of society. So I hope that the next generations are going to do that. I'm happy to hear, and thanks for the invitation.
I am Lorena Rodriguez. My name is Lorena Rodriguez, and I represent, along with Mireia Garcia, we are trying to represent fine arts in the NFT world. And actually, I want to say something really short. Last year, when the pandemic was more severe in terms of the people being afraid and everything, everybody was trying to do everything online. We started to migrate to online stuff in every sense. And a lot of people in the fine art world were a little bit concerned of this non-presential arts scenery. But I really think that technology gives us a lot of good stuff and a lot of advantage in many ways that we can use that to improve what we are doing now. Not because a lot of people were concerned about the little girls and boys, the children being with iPads and everything, a lot of hours. But it's not the amount of time they spent there. It's the quality of what they see there. So this gives us a lot of advantages. And tools and stuff to improve what it has been doing for many years.
Thank you guys so much. It's a big honor for us really to have all of you guys here. We can't be more proud to host you and sort of help you amplify your message, and consider this the beginning of a much longer journey. This is the genesis of many things. I think that, hopefully we get to convene together in maybe 6 months or a year, the same group, and then, sort of reflect on, where things have gone. In the meantime, please reach out to each other. We'll sort of make a giant group to kind of connect everyone here, and have you guys, spark new ideas together. Lastly, I just want to thank Tom, Joe, and many other people kind of invisibly, on the ground, Roy, in Hong Kong and also online, making this event possible. The entire team's worked for 2 months tirelessly to try to produce this 1 week of content. So it's been a big portion. And thank all of you guys watching around the world. We will see you soon, and keep innovating. All right. Thanks, guys.